You are one of the few people that I have seen in my life, who is very deep into email marketing.
A lot of people think that email marketing does not work. I would treat you as my audience only if you have signed up for my email newsletter. You never use advertising to advertise your products and services. You use advertising to advertise your content. See, I have probably received a lot of hate emails, but the hate emails is usually a single word. It's BC or MC. So I've always said that I will call myself a millionaire when I have 1 million active email subscribers on my email list.
Wow. How do you know if the email that you have written is good or not? According to you, what is the one question that people should ask you about email marketing but they generally don't? So can you just recommend my viewers on one action step that they can take in next 24 hours, which will help them to become better at email writing? Hi Deepak, welcome to Decode podcast.
Hi Srinivas.
Yeah, the whole purpose behind Decode podcast is where I want to take one topic that is relevant to business owners and go deep dive into that one topic. And the intention of today's podcast is on email marketing and how do you write emails. Because you are one of the few people that I have seen in my life, who is very deep into email marketing and you talk about email marketing all the time. So, and your emails are one of the best emails that I have seen.
Thank you.
And I kind of open like whenever I receive one email for you. So I thought of understanding your thought process behind it and also your actual process of writing the emails. And if time permits, we'll also go into decoding actual emails that you have written and why they worked and how you have written it. Cool?
Got it. Yes.
And for someone who do not know you, how do you introduce to others?
So I would say I am Digital Deepak. That is the brand that I am trying to put there out in the market. Obviously, people who are in the personal circle will know me as Deepak. But when it comes to the market, I always introduce myself as Digital Deepak. I think one of the reasons I called it Digital Deepak is because long back I read something about brand names, where if the brand names have rhyming words with it, like Coca-Cola, Bed Bath and Beyond, it sticks to the mind a little bit better. So since the name starts with D, Deepak, and I am a digital marketing guy, Digital Deepak kind of made sense. But I think after that, a lot of people have prefixed digital in front of their name. Their name does not start with D. It is still fine, but a lot of people don't know that this was the reason that I used digital as the keyword. And I registered this name back in 2013. And when I got started, it was just an idea that, hey, if I am applying as a digital marketing manager in different companies, then my resume will stand out if I have a blog and if I write about digital marketing in it. I did not expect that Digital Deepak brand will become so big. So 2013 when I started, I was writing 2 to 3 blog posts in a month. And anybody can go to digitaldeepak.com and check the archives. It was probably around 2 posts every month. But it was consistent until 2016. And then I started launching courses and everything. So today, I would say that I am the CEO of Micro Startup, which is the venture studio under which we are doing a lot of different activities. Some are software, some are digital marketing agencies. We have the education products and everything. So Micro Startup is the new brand name. So I would say I am the CEO of Micro Startup.
Makes sense. So yeah, you are one of the few people who was very well known in digital marketing space in India. So just thought of asking this for those small percentage who do not know about you. So you recommend email marketing very aggressively to all of your students and businesses as well. So let's start with basics. What is email marketing? And why someone should do email marketing?
So, a lot of people think that email is on top of internet, but the first email was sent, I think, in 1971. So, email predates internet itself. The first website was published in 1991, 20 years after email was invented.
Okay.
So, if I want to communicate to another person across time and space, email is the best form of communication. And email is very personal. A lot of people think that email marketing does not work. That is because they treat email marketing as a top of the funnel strategy. The word marketing is attached to email when we say email marketing. So they think that we are marketing via email, but we don't try to get new people to discover our products and services via email. We only engage with people who are already on our email list. So there are two kinds of email marketing. So some people called it cold email marketing, which is still very tricky this day and age because of anti-spam regulations. And it's also not ethical just because you know somebody's email ID, which is fetched using certain tools and everything, and you send a cold email. Unless the email is very personalized and you are reaching out with a genuine intention of connecting with them, you cannot just send out a mass broadcast email to an email ID or to a person who you found the email ID through some means. So when I say email marketing, it's usually people who have opted in to receive emails from me. And the high level idea is that email becomes the primary communication technology between me and my audience. So if I want to say something to my audience, it will be via email. The problem with social media is that, let's say you subscribe to my YouTube channel and I post a new YouTube video. There is a chance that you will miss out on it unless you click the notification icon, and not everybody remembers to click the notification icon. So now you are a YouTube's user, you are not my user, because you gave your email ID and phone number to YouTube and signed up for a YouTube account or an Instagram account or a Facebook account. So having Facebook fans, Instagram followers or YouTube subscribers, they are not necessarily your audience. It's definitely better than a cold subscriber versus a cold person versus a person who has subscribed to YouTube. It's definitely better. But I would treat you as my audience only if you have signed up for my email newsletter. And if I just say that, hey, sign up for my email newsletter, I write about digital marketing, there is not a very high chance that you would sign up for my newsletter, because a lot of websites you will see that, hey, sign up for updates. Like, what updates? Why should I sign up? So we usually need to give an ethical bribe to get them to share their contact details with us. Even though it is not a payment, they are still letting go of their privacy, because email is a very private thing. If you open your inbox and you have mails from a bunch of people you don't know, you probably won't like it. You will mark it as spam. So now if the people have opted in to download an ebook, sign up for a 30-day email course or a 100-day email course, or to sign up for a community, or to download something like a mini video series, whatever it might be, people are expressing interest and giving their email voluntarily. And now I have a permission to email them, and I nurture them through email. So the idea is that the email list that you have itself becomes the business asset. There are a lot of different business assets in the business. As a CA, you would know that we put the assets on the balance sheet.
Correct.
And if a company gets acquired, then obviously they will value the customer list as an asset. But the customer list that you build over a period of time through investment in marketing is usually written off as an expense. It is not showing up as an asset in the balance sheet, but it does become an asset for your business. So I have been building my email list since 2016. I think from 2015 I started experimenting with it. 2016 I launched my first course. And when I launched my course, I sent an email to my audience saying that, hey, I'm launching a Google Ads Mastery course. Why don't you sign up for it? And a bunch of people signed up. Now you can build an email list using organic methods by directly getting SEO traffic. You can redirect social media traffic into building an email list by asking people to download an ebook or sign up for your newsletter. But the fastest and easiest way is to run paid advertising for your lead magnets so that people come and subscribe to your email list. And you need to constantly keep this email list nurtured. It's like maintaining your garden.
Okay.
Right? If you don't water the plants, then they are going to wither away. But after a particular point, maybe it becomes a tree, then you don't need to keep constantly nurturing it. But in this case, the way we look at it is that if somebody has joined my email list, first of all, they are not going to open all the emails and read all the content that I send to them. I usually send at least 5 emails in a week, and the emails are not strictly related to digital marketing. It includes startups, it includes topics about some things that I personally believe in, like Bitcoin, like meditation. So it kind of reinforces who I am. And one of the reasons I feel the best customers engage on email, and it is higher, it's more likely that they become your customers if they engage on email, is because we are targeting the sophisticated users. So internet can be divided into 90 and 10 approximately. 90% of the users are consumers. They are not serious business people, and they mostly use internet for entertainment. So they might be scrolling on Instagram, they might be watching YouTube videos, and they will have a day job which is completely unrelated, and they are just using internet for some entertainment and stuff like that. These people will have low attention spans, and they cannot sit and read a 1,000-word email for like 20 minutes or something. I am attracting people who might end up becoming, let's say, customers of my startup launchpad, which is my startup program. And those kind of customers have high attention spans. We can say that there is only 100 million people in India who access internet via laptop.
Okay.
We have 500 million internet users, 500 to 600 million internet users is what the statistics say. But most of them are just connected to the internet via their feature phone, not even smartphone. Smartphone users might be around 200 million, but people who use internet primarily via their laptop, it would come down to like 100 million. And if you shrink it down to even more serious audience, it is the credit card holders of India, which is around 40 to 45 million credit card holders. You want to boil it down even more, then we have around 10 million Netflix subscribers in India, around 10 million iPhone users. So I would say up to 30 million is the audience, which is like a very serious audience, who will be able to comprehend language in English primarily. And they might also be speaking English at their home, at their office, and English is their primary mode of communication. And only these sophisticated users are capable of buying high ticket products which might cost 1 to 2 lakh minimum, right? Yes, 5 lakh is also high ticket, but I would say at least in the Indian context, anything less than 1 lakh is not a high ticket product. Around 50,000 it can be mid ticket. Anything less than 20,000 rupees is a low ticket. And if you are doing knowledge business, you are working in the knowledge economy, and you are primarily trying to either do digital marketing services which is still related to the knowledge economy, or you are sending them information about a particular industry statistic which is again knowledge. You are selling information products which is again knowledge. So email is the best way to get these people's attention, because if somebody reads your email for 10 minutes, the amount of undivided attention that they are paying you inside an email inbox, which is very personal, is like very, very high value in terms of converting them into a high paying customer.
Makes sense. So basically then, obviously you have on your website, you mentioned you'll get this for free if you share your name and email address, and then somebody will enter their name and ID.
Yeah.
And then you start sending them emails.
Yes.
So you call it like a nurture emails.
Yeah.
And also you mentioned that you send 5 emails a week. Do you think it is oversharing, oversending? What's the sweet spot there?
So, see, there might be people who might feel like it's too many emails for a week, but people who feel that are not going to be my customers anyway. And I don't mind if they unsubscribe. People who find value in my emails, admire the content that I create, and admire me as a person, like me as a person, I have seen that they usually do not hesitate staying subscribed. But the decay also is high. If you have a list of, let's say, 100,000 subscribers which you have gained via advertising, and you keep sending emails to them, within the first month, 10% of those people will either become cold subscribers or they will unsubscribe. But you need to add another 10,000 emails to your 100,000 list through ad campaigns. So what happens is that the analogy that I would give is that if you boil milk, or sometimes you put it on the simmer, you want to make tea or coffee, you are boiling the milk and you put it on simmer, and then you got on a call, you forgot about it. So it's simmering for like half an hour. So all the water in the milk will get evaporated and the milk will become very thick. Correct. And then you have coffee or tea with it, it actually tastes better, right? So if you generate, let's say, 10,000 subscribers via ad campaigns over a period of a month, and you keep sending emails, you will have a cohort of people who are very highly engaged. They open every email, they read every email. Let's say that is 10%. Then there might be another 30% of the people who might open 2 or 3 emails out of 10 emails that you sent. There will be 10 to 20% of the people who are not reading any email at all. So, and some people are not actually liking your email. So they will go out of your email list. They become cold subscribers. Cold subscribers is defined as somebody who has not opened any email from you for 90-day period. They are cold subscribers. So no point in continuing to mailing them. And it will also affect your email delivery, because you are sending emails to people who are not reading at all. and that kind of makes it like the email servers do not like it very much.
Yeah.
The email ISPs do not like it very much. So you get them out of the system, and let's say you add another 10,000 emails now. So from the first 10,000 email cohort which you generated in the first month, you have removed the people who are not interested at all. So the 10-20% is gone. Now you have added another 10,000. Now another 10-20% will be gone in another month. So let's say 20% have unsubscribed or became cold. Now you don't have 20,000 emails, you have 16,000 emails. You keep mailing them for another 6 months, you will have another 20% churn. Okay. So that comes down to, let's say, 14,000 emails. But this 14,000 emails are a little bit higher intent. So over a period of time, you keep removing the people who are not interested and keep adding new people who might be interested more. Then over a period of time, what happens is that, so since 2016, we have generated 2 million leads from the single lead magnet, which is the 100-day digital marketing course.
Okay.
So earlier it was 25-day digital marketing course. Then we reworked on the content. We made better quality content. So I drive traffic to this page via Google Ads. People enter their name, email ID, phone number. It gives a welcome call as soon as they enter the details. It's an automated welcome call. But apart from that, I don't keep disturbing them on WhatsApp or phone numbers. But the name and email ID they enter, they get into my email sequence. So email sequence, we can see it inside ConvertKit. So ConvertKit is the email marketing tool that I use. And here you can see I have multiple sequences. We will also talk about that. But the primary sequence is 100-day digital marketing course. And people read the content. They have subscribed for this email sequence, and each and every email also has a link to a video. And in the process of going through all the emails, they get nurtured. Okay. And my brand becomes familiar. For example, when you look at any brand, if you have the option of reaching 10 million people but only once, versus you want to reach 1 million people 10 times, you will always choose the 10 times but 1 million people. Because only through repetition, people will recall the brand. Same as you enter the password once and then you have to enter it 6 months later, you forget it. But if you keep entering the password, then you recall. So branding also works with repetition. But when it comes to, let's say, FMCG brands or any brand like, let's say, Airtel, it's a very commoditized product. There is no customer education involved much in what it provides as a service. It gives you a phone number, you have a prepaid recharge, that's it. It serves a utility. So they cannot do content-based repetition. It will be more like advertisement-based repetition. Might be it's like a cool ad, like A.R. Rahman musical ad, which they had long back. So something like that, and in the outdoor you see hoardings, in TV you see advertisements, then you see newspaper advertisements. It's repetition over and over again, but that repetition to some extent is irritating. Correct. Right? Sometimes people think that repetition is good and they play the same ad back to back in a movie theater, and it's extremely irritating. Correct. Abhi dikha, like, why do you want to show it to me again? That does not build trust. It builds brand recall. And brand recall is not the same as trust. For example, if you look at a politician's face in a hoarding outside or on TV, you keep seeing their face again and again. That brand is very familiar. You recall that brand. That does not mean that you trust them. Trust comes through communication and content. When you listen to a politician talk, maybe you will trust them. But you won't trust them just because you keep seeing their face. So branding and recall is necessary, but it's not enough. So here what happens with the email follow-up sequence, there is brand repetition. Every day people get an email from me, and even if they don't read the complete email, they are at least not unsubscribing or deleting that email. They are archiving it because this is email of value. This is not email which promotes something directly. It is giving value. Like, for example, day 2 is 5 big opportunities in digital marketing. Day 3 is various modules in digital marketing. So people bookmark it. People put a label on it. They save it, which also improves your email deliverability because those signals are being monitored by the email service providers. Now you have repetition, but repetition is going on automation. A YouTuber might have to keep posting new YouTube videos all the time. If he does not post for like 2 months, everybody will forget about him. So when you are a creator and you are primarily an email content creator, the advantage that you have is that you create the sequence once, put people on that sequence, and people keep getting that emails over a period of time. So you can have a 30-day sequence, 100-day sequence. So if it is 100 days and you send one email every 2 days, it's 200 days of engagement.
Correct.
And anybody who opts in into a lead magnet page like this, you know that you are building authority and trust on automation with them for the next 6 months. And this keeps on going. And whenever you are promoting something like a new product, and then you can send a broadcast email. So these are sequence emails, but you can also send a broadcast email. So broadcast email, when you are sending, a few people might be just enter the funnel, and a few people might be there in your funnel for a very long time. So all of them will get an update. And this happens when you are doing an event. Like for example, we are doing this thing called Deep Marketing Workshop. And I just put a title, want to meet me and my team. And this is the content of the email. We put some pictures of the previous workshop that we did. And this is time sensitive. So this workshop is happening end of this month. So all the email subscribers get an update about it. And this is a little bit promotional. I am asking them to sign up for a workshop. But people are not resistant towards it because you have got so much value already from me. And they are okay with me promoting something to them. So it's the same as, let's say, a friend did a lot of favors for you. So it's like, that is like a bank account which builds up. So now you can ask a favor from him because you did a lot of favors for him. Let's say you picked him up from the airport 5 times. And once you are calling him and asking, hey, will you pick me up from the airport? He is obligated to say yes because he has taken help from you for so long. So he does not feel like, even if he can't do that, just because you are asking him, he is not feeling irritated about it. But let's say you just met somebody in a conference, exchanged phone numbers, and then you have not spoken much to him, you have not built a relationship with him, and you land in his city, and you are randomly calling him and asking him, hey, can you pick me up at the airport? Nobody will say that, hey, why should you do that? I don't have any obligation to do it. So this kind of relationship building via email on automation is the template that I follow. And I do this for many clients as well. Like for example, another Alpha Club member, you also know her, Supriya Jain, wanted to start her business as a content writing coach. So who would you pitch the content writing coaching program to? You can't just run ads for a content writing program directly on Facebook or Google. People don't know you, they don't trust you enough to sign up for a high ticket program. So you run an ad only to get people into a free 30-day email course on how to become a highly paid content writer. So people get 30 days of emails once they join this funnel. They get to know Supriya well. They get to attend the webinar. Then they get to a call with a salesperson. And then they are more likely to purchase a high ticket product from her funnel. So the idea is that you never use advertising to advertise your products and services. You use advertising to advertise your content. And you advertise your products and services within your content. And your content platform is basically your email list and your newsletter.
Oh, that's a huge mindset shift actually.
Yeah.
So normally people do it other way around.
Yeah. Until now, I have never ever advertised my products and services directly on Facebook. I have only advertised my free lead magnets.
Interesting. So I was speaking to someone, I was talking about email marketing. He was like, if I start sending so many emails, I'll start receiving like hate email, like all trolls or roast, whatever you like to call it. And obviously it's quite common, like we already know.
Yeah.
So what's your take on hate emails or trolls?
See, I have probably received a lot of hate emails, but the hate emails is usually a single word. It's BC or MC. And I mean, you can unsubscribe if you don't want email from me. And if somebody replies like that, I would just manually unsubscribe them. But that would be like 1 in 1,000 emails. So if I have 100,000 people email list, I would have received probably like 100 emails who are like, stop messaging me or use some bad words on the email. You can just ignore it. They would probably not tell it to you in the face because they will get punched in the face. But they can tell it on email because there is a barrier of protection, right? But you just ignore it. Just because that is happening does not mean that you cannot do email marketing. Most of my fan base has been built via email. Most of my social media following has been built via email. I have 1.24 lakh subscribers on my YouTube, and I would say at least 90,000 to 100,000 subscribers have come through my email list rather than my email list building from my social media channel. Because what happens is that earlier when there were not too many creators on YouTube, let's say you had 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you post a new video, it is likely that it is reaching at least 1,000 subscribers. So people open YouTube, go through their feed, subscribers are seeing the video, it might reach 10%. Now it's probably like 2 or 3% is what I would say. So the algorithm is forcing us to create thumbnails and create titles which are more attention grabbing. And when you are creating long form content, you might not necessarily want very high attention grabbing emails. So even very reputed and very respected creators are forced to make some facial expressions, which I never do on YouTube because YouTube is not my primary distribution channel. Like, shocking face, angry face, disappointed face, all that is like attention getting, but it can also affect your brand negatively, right? So the algorithm is forcing us to do it, and YouTube does not care whether somebody is a long-term engaging subscriber, they watch a 30-minute, 1-hour podcast, or they watch like 10-minute videos. They are only optimizing for people spending more time on YouTube so that their ad revenue can increase. So the incentive structure is not aligned well between creators and the platform. So that is why I feel like in email, I don't need to necessarily put a title which is misleading or shocking to get them to open the email. I'll be very straightforward, and the title will, like for example, if you go to my blog and newsletter, so one way is to send email via ConvertKit to my entire audience via broadcast, but when I am writing like a blog post, which I also want people to receive it as an email newsletter, I put it on my different blog, which goes out as an email as well. So here the blog title is how to let go of things you cannot control. This is not necessarily an attention grabbing or shocking title that makes people open the email. So people do this mistake of putting a lot of emojis on the subject line, shocking emoji, danger emoji. So none of my emails will have that. And I don't think high quality audience will necessarily be attracted by it. And the low quality audience which opens the emails because there is a lot of attention grabbing things might not become my customer. So why rush through the process? Stay humble, keep building your email list and keep nurturing your audience with good quality content, which is long form. Like for example, this particular content is almost like 1,300 words. There will be a small percentage of the audience who will read the entire 1,300 word article until the last line, then they will comment on it. These are the guys who will become my paying customers. These are the people who will come to my events, come to my workshops and recommend me to other people. So I'm only talking to that kind of audience, and I'm tuning out all the noise and focusing only on the signal.
Makes sense. Okay, so I think now people will be very clear about what is email marketing and why someone should do email marketing.
Yes.
So now let's go into the nitty-gritties of your writing process.
Okay.
So what's your writing process like? How often do you write?
Yeah, so one thing is to build your business funnel in a way that you can build a huge audience and communicate to them. The second challenge is to actually communicate to them, right? And both are interrelated. The better you communicate and the more high ticket products you sell, the more revenue you make. You take that revenue and put it back into generating more leads for your funnel. So a lot of people are stuck. Hey, if I have to write to my audience, how do I write? I don't know how to write. I don't know what to write. So what happens is that one of the reasons people do not have a clear idea about what to write is because they don't know who they are talking to, right? We only talk about writer's block. There is no such thing as a talker's block. If you meet an old friend after 2 years, would you have a talker's block? You'll just casually talk to them. Hey, how are things? What's happening? Hey, this is what I have been up to. What have you been up to? So it's a conversation. It's not a one-way communication. Even though here, I still like to keep it like a conversation. The possibility of two-way communication is very difficult because I am sending a mail to, let's say, 2 lakh people. Not everybody can respond to me. They can respond to me in comments or email replies, but they still need to feel like it's a conversation. And if they need to feel like it's a conversation, you need to talk sense, and you can only talk sense when you know who they are. So if it is one person that you are talking to, you don't have a problem talking to them. So if you don't have a problem talking to your friend, you don't have a problem writing an email to them as well. You can write one email to them, to one person. You won't have a problem in writer's block. The writer's block comes because you imagine that, hey, there is this group of people who are going to listen from me. And you don't have a clear idea what is the average person in this group than who you are talking to. So it's like stage fear, right? So let's say you are inviting people for your wedding and you have to give a speech at your wedding, and there are 50 people sitting there. You have a pretty good idea of who they are. You don't have a talker's block or stage fear or public speaking hesitation there. You have public speaking hesitation when you have a bunch of audience who you don't know who they are, and you are afraid that they will judge you. So now when people start writing, I would tell them that, hey, you gain your first 100 subscribers. You put out a lead magnet or put a YouTube channel, just go around your professional network and personal network, ask people to subscribe to your YouTube channel, and you have a fair idea about a bunch of people who are subscribing. And you identify one person out of it, the average person who might be most interested in listening to what you have to say. And you just talk to that one person, whether it's a YouTube video or whether it's a blog post. You write the blog post as if you are writing an email to that one person. This is how you get started with writing.
Okay.
And you just say what you want to say. And you should have something to say. And you will get something to say when you have some life experience, when you read a lot of books, when you consume a lot of content, you will get some ideas about what to say. Recently, I wrote a blog post which was like performed very well. It's called The Joy of Being a Loser and Achieving Nothing. And I got the inspiration for writing this post because I watched a YouTube video about how in this society today, everybody has the pressure of wanting to achieve something, showcase their achievement and everything. And that does not mean achievement. Achievement is something that, hey, you have a personal goal, you reach that and that's your achievement, right? Let's say my goal is to take like 6 months off and just read books for 6 months. And if I actually get to do it, then that's achievement for me. The society might not see it as an achievement. Society might think that I have wasted 6 months of my life reading some philosophical books. So this is something that I have already thought about, and I have also an opinion on it. But it got triggered into a deeper thought process by watching a YouTube video. And this particular YouTube video set off a chain of thought reactions in me. And I was able to add something from my own experience to it, add some analogies which were not in that video. Like, for example, one analogy I added here was that this is something that I thought about. Like, a lot of people are billionaires, but they are 65 years old. By the time I get, let's say, 65 years old, I might become a billionaire, but I don't have the $1 billion right now. But I have 1 billion seconds to live, right? So I'm a time billionaire. 1 billion seconds is 31.7 or something years. So I am a time billionaire. And will a billionaire be able to pay $1 billion, or will he be willing to pay $1 billion to become 30 years old again? Probably yes.
Yes.
Right? If I am 67 years old and I have a few more years to live, and if I can pay $1 billion to buy 1 billion seconds, then that's what I would spend my money on. Which means that, imagine I have already spent that money and I have reversed my age to 35, which is what I have right now. So you don't need to think about people who are billionaires and feel like you are missing out. You are already a billionaire. So all those ideas that I added here. So you need some life experience, you need some content which is coming from your own thoughts, but you also need an external trigger, an inspiration which comes from consuming others' content. Like, everything is built on top of others' content in the world, right? There is nothing
Correct.
new under the sun. But that does not mean that you are copying someone's content and writing. So the interesting part here is that when your audience becomes larger and larger, and it will only become larger if you are making sense to your small audience, right? So you write to one person. There will be people who relate to that a lot. There will be people who relate to it a little bit. There might be people who don't relate to it at all. People who don't relate to what you are writing will not stay in your email list for long. They will be like, kya bol raha hai? They will go out. There will be people, like, for example, if I am writing an article which is going to be more targeted towards somebody of 30 years of age, because I am 35, my life advice or whatever I am writing might be relevant. Let's say I am talking about building a startup. Somebody has quit their job when they are 30 years old. It might be the most relevant for them. They might become my best customers, but somebody might be 40 years old, still might feel like what I am saying is partially relevant, and they will stay. Then there might be somebody who is an 18-year-old who is not interested at all, and they are not able to wrap their head around what I am saying. So they will leave my email list and it's fine. But as the audience grows larger and larger, your target audience, you can't just write to a single person, but you have that single person in your mind. whenever you write. And that persona of that single person, there are two ways to look at it. One is objective persona, which is what you do with building a customer avatar. Hey, I will write the demographics of this person, location, age, gender, income level. So you can look at it objectively, but it still won't help you understand that person. Exactly, you can think about it like this, that let's say you have 3 pages of details about a person. Plus you know a person as a friend. Let's say he is your college classmate. Now that college classmate, the way you know him, you still can't put it objectively on paper. And what you have as a database thing is not enough for you to talk to him the way you talk to a friend. So how do you know your audience in a deeper psychological and psychographic way? So let's call it psychographics. You meet them, you talk to them. So every time you interact with your audience, your idea of who your audience is becomes more and more crystallized. So that is why I'm not like a creator who will, sit in a beach and just keep writing. You can't do that. I have decided to stay in Bangalore, pay a huge amount of living cost in Bangalore, at a central location of Bangalore. We do workshops, we do events, I keep meeting people in person. You can also do like Zoom meetings and everything, but in person you get an even better idea. So somebody comes and asks, hey Deepak, I am at this stage of my career, what do you think I should do? And I did a meetup. I had some 80 people show up at that meetup. And what happened was that in that meetup, some 4 or 5 people came and asked me that, Deepak, I am in this relationship trouble. I have been loving somebody for 2 years and she is not, making her parents convince us for marriage. What should I do in this situation? Should I just move on or should I pursue it? So I started seeing those things which will not be obvious when you are communicating with people online. So here and there, little bit, I talk about relationships as well, which attracts the right kind of audience to my newsletter and they stay engaged, right? So that's how you get to know your audience and that's how you write. And if you write it that way, then people will feel like, hey, this email came to me at the right time. Oh, this was like very valuable. And people say that, hey, I feel like you are talking directly to me. So you send a mail to lakhs of people with a single click, but each and every person is reading it personally. You are not talking to a group of people in an audience. You are not talking on a stage. It's a very personal thing. They are sitting at their home and nobody is looking into their screen as well, right? They are reading it very personally. So they feel a connect. Hey, I know this person. He is talking to me. And that is very necessary to eventually keep them on the email list. And if you want to convert them into a paying customer, then that is also needed. So I will show you one email. This particular email performed very well, and I have used this email over and over again. So this email's title is, Are You a Selfish Person? And this was again like a value email with my own thoughts, that you feel like everybody is pulling you apart with their own needs, but what about your needs? So I wrote an email which basically talks about, you have a commitment to your future self, so you should prioritize your own needs. And I had enough time to kind of do some doodling as well. So I did some doodling and wrote this email. And every time I did an internship program and I started speaking to people, and a lot of people said that, hey, this one particular email, I liked it very much, which makes them respect me, makes them pay more attention to the products I'm launching, and then they convert.
So basically, even though you have like lakhs of subscribers, you kind of write to just one person. So that makes more sense. So in the blog you said, right, you got an idea from watching a YouTube video and then you wrote a blog post. Now can you break that down? Like, okay, now you got an idea. And then how do you write it? Do you create like an outline? How much time does it take to write one blog post or one email? How does that work?
So generally, in one sitting, if you just start writing, you can write 200 words.
Okay.
Within 5 minutes. You just do that. Creating an outline and trying to fill up that outline is not a method that has worked for me. Maybe it works for some people. But when you just start writing, like you have something to say. You want to say it to your audience. So you just start with that. And then the article takes shape. Maybe you might want to reread it and edit it a little bit if it is a very long form article, and over a period of time, you will get better and better at it. So today I can write like 1500 to 2000 words in a single sitting, not do any major restructuring on it apart from checking for typos and correcting it. and I can hit send to my audience and it works. But this has come probably after writing 1,000,000 words. So they say that everybody has a great writer hidden in them, but there is 1,000,000 words of trash which you have to get it out.
Okay.
So if you keep writing, and you have got done with 1,000,000 words. So 1,000,000 words is basically 1,000 words a day for 3 years. That's 1,000,000 words.
Okay.
So you should have a habit of writing at least 500 or 1,000 words a day every day. You can set up a personal blog. You can send it to your small newsletter. It can be a private journal as well, but I would still recommend it to be a public journal, because when you know that somebody is reading it, you are more likely to put effort into structuring it in a way it makes sense, not just to you, but for others as well. And it can be a blog on any topic. So when I started my career, I started with a motorcycle blog, and I wrote about motorcycles. And I wrote blog posts for 4 years, and then eventually I had freelance writers also add to it. But I also was continuing to write about it. So that itself might have crossed 1,000,000 words there. Then I wrote on Digital Deepak just about digital marketing. And after so much experience, almost 10 years of writing experience, probably 15 years of writing experience as of now, 16 years I would say, I can write about any topic. I can write about meditation, I can write about personal development, health. And I'm not a health guru or a fitness guru or a personal development guru or a money mindset guru. I'm a digital marketing mentor. I would use the word guru there also. But it does not mean that these people won't have issues with other areas of their life. So I do write about relationships. I do write about finance, savings, Bitcoin. I write about dating here and there a little bit. I write about why people should not get married, especially men should not get married before 35 years of age, which a lot of people feel relatable. But some people also get pissed off, like how can you say something like that? So you might need to be a little bit polarizing, but your intent is not to be polarizing and then write something which is going to be polarizing. You are going to share your thoughts honestly, and if it is polarizing, you cannot do anything about it. So that way you end up writing just very organically, and that's how my writing has always been. There has never been any structure, outline or methodology for my writing. It's just a long, lengthy WhatsApp post, like WhatsApp message that I send to a friend. It's just like I have a lot to say, and I say it. That's it.
So is there any structure that you follow? Like start like this, end like this?
So the basic structure is that say what you are about to say it, and repeat what you have just said. That's like a basic structure. So in the initial 200 words that I write, I talk about what I am about to say. So in this blog post, let's understand why investing in Bitcoin is so important because of so and so reasons. And then we get into it. So you, let's say everybody who reads my email will first read the first 200 words. You have to sell them on it. So the title sells the first 200 words. Then the first 200 words sells the main body of the email. And then you kind of recap the entire thing. And then you send out the email.
Okay, makes sense. And one of the things I really like about your emails is you use a lot of stories, analogies, and there's a lot of emotion. You feel that lot of emotion,
Yes.
Let's take action right now.
Yeah.
So how you do that?
Okay. So that's a very interesting question that you asked, and an interesting point which I should cover because I keep talking about it. So a lot of people ask me when I write. So I mostly write in the morning when my mind is fresh and the entire day's chaos does not get into my schedule and drains my energy. But it does not mean that you should write only in the morning. There have been emails which I have written like at 1 a.m. as well. So when you get an inspiration for something, even on a vacation, I always carry my laptop. Sit and write at least 200 words when you just get an inspiration for something. Because the way the words form will have an energy to it, and that energy will be transferred from your energy. So this particular content which I talked about, the joy of being a loser and achieving nothing, is that very intense and strong realization when I was on a vacation that when you are in Bangalore, in a competitive city with a bunch of startups around you, people always publish about, hey, I have raised this much money, I'm Forbes 30 under 30. There is so much pressure on you that, hey, you should also look like an achieved person to the society. So this strong realization was like, I felt like how screwed up the world is. Why do we need to chase these titles? What does it even mean? 1,000 years later, none of this is going to matter. Everyone is going into dust. So unless I write something, when I have that feeling, the writing will not have that energy. I can't take notes and then say that I will write about it a day later. Because a day later I might be feeling differently, right? A day later I might be feeling like I might want to actually achieve things that the society wants me to, because I have to prove somebody wrong. And that's the stage that most of us are in most of the time. So you have to like capture it when it comes. It's like rainwater harvesting. You can only do it when the rain comes. After the rain has gone away, you want to like put up rainwater harvesting, it's not going to happen. So that is one way to look at it. Another author who did a TEDx talk, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, she kind of spoke about it. So I just remember it from long back. It just stuck to my mind. So she said that it's like a tiger is coming, and then you have to capture the tiger when it comes to you. Then it will leave. If it goes away, you cannot capture it again. But you can be alert enough that when it leaves, that you catch it by its tail and bring it back. So you have to write when you feel it. So when you write when you feel it, the audience you will transfer some of that feeling to the audience who is reading it. So that might be a very like hocus pocus mumbo jumbo thing to say in a very analytical world. But if you read my emails, I think since you have felt it, that some kind of inspiration or something, it strikes a chord inside you. So that energy is transferred into words, and the words does not matter. What wordings you use does not matter, right? For example, when people keep saying that, hey, why do you think I should invest in Bitcoin? It's an unregulated asset. And then I didn't know what to say. Like, I did not know what to respond to it, even though I did understand where they are coming from and where I am coming from. And then suddenly it struck me that Bitcoin is the most regulated asset in the world. It is regulated by rules and not by rulers. So then I wrote an article about it when I felt it, that hey, it is regulated. You can't say Bitcoin is unregulated, because the question is regulated by who? Is it regulated by a set of rules that we all agree on, or it is regulated by a centralized ruler who is making the rules? So then I wrote an article about it and published it on my Bitcoin blog. So that kind of wordings won't come when you just want it to come. You have to write it when it comes. So always have a laptop around. Ideally, like the MacBook Air, you have a lightweight laptop, right? So I use my wife's laptop when I am traveling, because I have a 16-inch workstation which I can't carry around all the time. So have something like lightweight. Writing notes might not necessarily be helpful enough, because you can't write a 200-word article with paper and pen. It might be difficult. So I'm just more comfortable with having a lightweight laptop around. So, and I write it. And I know that if I miss out on writing it right now, that will forever go away from me creating it.
Right. So that once you get an idea, you just open laptop and start writing. So you don't do any research.
You don't target that you should write 1,000 words. You just write 200 words, and that 200 words will lead to the next 200 words.
So you don't do any research before writing.
No, that research is done like pre-done, right?
Okay,
like
so you already know the subject.
You're into the subject. So,
okay.
So you keep researching, and you have a cache in your mind, and you don't need to remember the information, because mostly when you are writing, it's about transferring and understanding. Like in school, you might have learnt about, let's say, algebra, geometry, acceleration, or whatever. Let's say somebody does not understand how acceleration works. Let's say like you are sitting in a car and you are accelerating. It's one thing to go at 100 kmph. It's one thing to accelerate from 50 kmph to 100 kmph. So you might be reading it when you are in 5th standard. You are reading difference between speed and difference between acceleration. Speed is like you go to a particular speed, it's constant, it has a different formula. Acceleration is more like a curve, like there is a rate of acceleration. Are you going from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds? That is the rate of acceleration. Now you read that in theory, but when you become an adult and start driving a car, you know that putting a low gear and flooring the accelerator is acceleration. I can slowly get to 100 kmph over a period of time by slowly picking up the speed. Or I can just slam the accelerator and get to 100 super fast, like accelerate. Now, this information in your head is more of an understanding. It's not an information in the raw format. It's not knowledge. So that's why people keep saying that, hey, if you keep reading a lot of books, how will you remember all of that? You don't need to, because your understanding changes about a certain thing and you start feeling it intuitively, right? So it's just like if you read a lot of books, you don't remember all of them, but has it made you a different person? Yes. It's just like you don't remember all the food that you ate. All the food that you ate is not even in your system. But today, whatever you are, the physical body is because of all the food that you ate from your childhood. So similarly, when you keep reading books, your understanding about topics changes. So job of the writer is to not give information, because information can be given by ChatGPT today. Information was given by Google, organized all the world's information. So you want like data, and that is why we keep saying that, right? The school asks you to memorize things. And today you have the whole world's information in your pocket. You open search for anything, like when did Aurangzeb die? Why did I read it in history books, right? What will I do by remembering that? I can now search it on Wikipedia and find out the year when he born, right? Which is not even needed. So the job of education is to make people understand something. And once that understanding comes, you will never be able to unsee it. The experience which you have got, you cannot unsee it.
Right.
It's the difference between a guy experiencing sex for the first time versus a 5-year-old boy learning about sex from a 7-year-old boy. Both of them have not had it, and they are just talking about it, aise hota hai, waise hota hai. But what is the difference? So when you are trying to transfer this to your audience, you are transferring understanding, and you are trying to make them understand. And that is why analogies are so important. And that is why you have to tell it via stories. So you are not writing stories because somebody told you that writing stories is an effective way to engage people. I have never thought about it, but my writing eventually included a lot of stories and analogies, because that is the only way to make them understand. Like just like I told analogies now, like difference between acceleration and speed, and the difference between understanding and knowledge. Why did I have to take that example? Because I am trying to make the audience and you, when I am communicating, understand. So analogies automatically come.
Makes sense.
So from the desire of wanting to make somebody understand what you have understood, it's not wanting to make somebody know what you know. It's wanting to make them understand what you have understood. So then the writing takes shape. Writing is, end of the day, a way to communicate your thoughts to them. So tomorrow if we have, let's say, silicon chips embedded in our brain, and Neuralink has figured out a way to transfer my thoughts to you and transfer my feelings and understandings to you, then probably writing will die as an art. But we still don't know whether it will get to that level of efficiency. If it gets there, then we will see. But until then, writing is the only way to communicate.
Right. So right now, like you are writing like multiple types of content, right? One is the nurturing email, one is the one-time email, one is the marketing emails, and one obviously the blog post. So before writing any email, do you have any objective in your mind? This is what I want to achieve from this email. Like for example, let's say obviously marketing, it's very simple. You want to get a sale. But for nurturing emails, do you have any objective before?
The objective is that I want them to pay attention, and I want them to read it and gain value from what I have wrote. That's the objective. Because the more attention that you get from them, the more is the brand recall is in their head. So if I just want to make money, all my emails will be like, hey, I'm launching this course, come and attend the webinar. Hey, I'm going ahead and closing enrollments for this course. Today is the last day, go pay. But if I just do this, people will unsubscribe. People will just get pissed off. So 80% value, 20% promotion, because without promotion, I can't make money. Without making money, I can't generate new leads and distribution. I can't pay my email marketing service provider. I can't pay the rent for this office. I can't do podcasts. I cannot do anything without actually making the revenue. So I earn permission to promote something to my audience and actually make revenue by delivering value to them, which gets their attention. I have something to say, you sit and listen. You read what I have to say. And it could be any topic. As long as they have opened the email and given their undivided attention to me, then that's a currency of trust which I have earned. And that currency of trust is in people's minds. So today my entire wealth, my biggest wealth is the trust that I have built with my audience. Right? So that trust can be converted into revenue anytime I want. So it's like you save a lot of money, you keep it in your bank account, you save it for the future, I mean, you don't save cash, but you invest it somewhere. But that savings is going to help you on a rainy day if you want to withdraw it. So I don't believe in putting money in the bank account or putting it in mutual funds, real estate, or anything. Like, the 3 digital assets which I only invest in, one is Bitcoin, and another one is domain names, which are brand names, and then the email list. And I would in fact say email list is at the top.
Wow.
Second and third is domain name and Bitcoin, either one of those. So the email list which I have, the same email list, if somebody gets it, they still can't make the money that I make with them, unless they post their name as Deepak itself, which means it's like impersonating. But people trust me. The trust is built over a period of time with constant email nurturing, and that is my bank account. And if I have, let's say, 5 lakh profit this month, I don't know what to do with it apart from building more email list, because then I get more audience, and then they also trust me, and that's how this email list has become so big. So entire month I had a vacation. June month I am back to work. I need to make revenue. I launched a new course. We are expecting by the end of this month to make like 5 to 10 lakh revenue with that course launch. And we did not advertise that course at all in any channel. It is people from my email list buying it, and they are trusting me and buying it because I have already built the trust with them, which is literally like withdrawing cash from the ATM. Right. So from this money, I will pay my own salary, pay salary for my employees, pay rent, pay email marketing tool cost, and whatever remaining I have, I will put it back into generating even more email list. Keep doing it until I get to multi-million people active email list. So I've always said that I will call myself a millionaire when I have 1 million active email subscribers on my email list.
Wow. So that's a very different way of looking at it, that I invest primarily on email list.
Yes.
Okay, so you are equating it as a financial asset, literally.
It's a financial asset which can be written off as an expense without putting it on your balance sheet.
Correct.
Because then that's very efficient, right? Because if I have 5 lakhs profit, I withdraw it to my bank account. First I have to pay corporate tax on it. Then I have to pay personal income tax on it. Then if I go spend it somewhere, I have to pay indirect taxes on it. I go invest it somewhere, then I have to pay capital gains tax on it. And I just invest it back into marketing, can be written off as an expense, but that comes and sits as a trust that I have built with them, which kind of becomes an asset. But if you never launch anything in the future, then obviously you cannot monetize that asset. Like marketing spent is done, written off as an expense, it's done. So that's why you need to keep nurturing your email list. So I get very uncomfortable if I don't send an email to my entire list for entire week. So probably in the past 6 years, there has never been an entire week where I have not sent a single email to my audience. Otherwise, they will forget me. So I have to keep reminding that I exist, and I have to keep delivering value. But it's much easier to do this than to keep posting YouTube videos or like some other creator, because this is text form, and I can take an old email, rewrite it a little bit, and send it to my audience again. So there is no problem with that as well. When I had gone to Vipassana, it was 10 days of no contact with the outside world and no technology, no devices and everything. But for 10 days I had created sequences, I had created schedules, and I had scheduled all the emails for 10 days. So I was sitting and meditating in Vipassana while my audience was receiving email from me. So that is the true deeper meaning of Digital Deepak. That the digital version of me is communicating with you while the real version is spending time with family or meditating or vacationing.
Interesting. Yeah, that's the power of automation, I guess.
Yes.
So what copywriting principles do you use while writing emails?
So the headline should sell the first sentence. The first sentence should sell the second sentence. Second sentence should sell the third sentence. I'm good at email copywriting just to engage people, which is like over time a lot of trust is built, so call to actions can be very direct and very obvious, like, hey, I am doing this launch, come and attend my webinar. There is no long form convincing that I have to convince them that, hey, you need to read this. So if it is like this WhatsApp mastery course we are launching, I might write a little bit about the advantages of why you need to do WhatsApp marketing and why you need to take WhatsApp seriously, but that's about it. When it comes to long form copywriting, our copywriter Vijay is actually a better expert in it. So here you can see this is a long form content. It is a sales landing page for our Facebook ads mastery course. So this is like 3000 words, and this is a skill which I am probably yet to master.
Okay.
So my skill lies more in email engagement and keeping the audience nurtured than to write a long form copy or a VSL sales script to get the people to take a very heavy action, which is to make a payment.
Okay, so not major principles are used, at least consciously at least.
Yeah.
So
it's just like talking to a bunch of friends.
Okay.
But the system which supports it is basically the funnel. Why the funnel works. See, you can't expect to keep writing and your audience builds. That's not going to happen. You have to keep generating leads. And to generate leads, you have to pay a lead cost. And to pay a lead cost, you need money. And that comes from selling products. So you need a product or service, which you added back into your lead generation system. Okay. So top of the funnel is lead generation. Middle of the funnel is constant email nurturing. Bottom of the funnel is actually sales. So this is what I say in my deep marketing funnel: content, attention, trust, transaction. And if you master this, you can keep growing your email list forever, like ad infinitum.
True. So in any email, primarily there are like 3 elements to it, right? One is the actual subject line, then actual email, and then the call to action.
Yeah.
So let's go deep into like how you write each of this. So one is the headlines. Like, what's your thought process behind writing the headlines?
We should probably sit and do like a live writing example in the next podcast.
True.
Because I think I have developed the skill through just practice. And I'm not even able to break down how I write. Okay. I just get to so title is one thing that I start with. Then I write the article, then I edit the title. So that is one thing I do, because once I have written the article, then I have a better idea about the title. And I kind of just sit and close my eyes and imagine what kind of title will the audience feel like opening. Right? So one trick that I can add here is that you think about something that the audience already has a conversation running in their mind. Right? Like, for example, if one of the blog post title is my 10-day revisiting my Vipassana meditation experience, then this is more like a direct title which talks about my Vipassana experience. But when you look at how to let go of things you cannot control, this is probably something that the audience is thinking in their head already. Hey, there are so many things I cannot control and it's occupying my mind. How do I let go of it? So you don't start a new conversation all the time. You join a conversation that the audience already has running in their mind. Then it kind of captures attention. Like, if you are sending out a mail, so if I send out a mail saying that how to handle increasing Facebook lead cost, all the entrepreneurs will pay attention to it because that's a question it is running in their mind. Hey, lead costs are increasing. How do I handle this? So if the email subject line says that, hey, the lead costs are increasing, then that will get attention. And not all the emails will get attention all the time. Like, for example, as a startup founder, I am subscribed to a bunch of startup newsletters. I signed up to a startup newsletter. I probably did not pay attention to any email for months together. And then there was one title where the title says, is it recommended to only do it as a solo founder without co-founders, which caught my attention because I have had 3 co-founders in the past. I have started different companies. So that caught my attention. So I read the entire blog post. Now, once I read the entire blog post, I felt like this particular title which grabbed my attention and this particular long form content was actually very well written and very high quality. So I take a risk by opening an email. What is the risk? That the email might not have good content. I spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes reading an email. It could be waste of my time. So there is a risk there, just like there is a risk in buying a product. What if the product does not turn out to be well? Then I have to ask for a refund. What if the refund does not come? So you take a risk when doing a transaction. So choosing to open an email and pay 5 minutes of attention is also a transaction. You take that risk when you open that email. The audience takes that risk when they open the email. But when that risk is paying off, then they have earned certain credits. And tomorrow they might send an email which is not that interesting. But I will still read it because I know that I will get some value from it. Right? So that is how you have to see email marketing. Like, if you get a bunch of email subscribers, not immediately they are going to get to that level of trust, not even to the level of trust that they read your entire email, because you are asking for something like a limited resource, which is their attention. Everybody has 24 hours in a day, probably a few hours to work on a computer. So once you have built that trust very well, the actual words does not matter. You can write anything. Okay. If I go and send out a 2000 word email about how to build a startup and everything, and the title could be like, hey, read this, I will still have thousands of people reading it.
Okay, now that we know how you write headlines and we covered great detail on how you write the body, let's talk to the how you end the videos, end the emails. What's your go-to call to action, or how do you write call to action?
Generally, most of the emails call to action, if it is like a value post, is please leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. And you don't just say let me know your thoughts, you say let me know your thoughts because I want to know what you think. So there is this research by Robert Cialdini in his book Influence, where he says that it does not matter what comes after the because. It has been statistically proven that if you add because and some reason, people are more likely to say yes to your request. For example, let's say if you want to cut through the line in an airport, if you go and say that, hey, can I cut through the line? Can I go ahead? People will generally say no. Maybe 10% of the people will say yes. But if you say something like, hey, can I just cut through the line because I am getting late? It's obvious that he wants to cut through the line because he is getting late. But if you just say because, then they are more likely to say yes. So that is a hack that can be used if it is general blog posts. Otherwise, it's more like the other call to actions in most of the emails include something like, hey, go ahead and sign up for the upcoming webinar, or go ahead and visit the landing page. Go ahead and subscribe for another newsletter that I have started. Like, I have this main newsletter, then I have created a Bitcoin newsletter. They have go ahead and sign up for a Bitcoin newsletter. So there is this thing called the sideways sales letter, which Jeff Walker talked about in his product launch formula long back, which means that you don't try to do the entire conversation and call to action and conversion in a single communication, right? So you keep nurturing your audience with random stuff. And then if I send out an email saying that, hey, go subscribe for my Bitcoin blog, I have started a new blog, people will do it. It does not need like a long form content to convince them to do it ahead, because I have been already communicating with them for a long time. So that's pretty much the two call to actions. The better you know your audience, the more you have a trust built with your audience, the less pressure that you have to put in getting them to convert with you.
Okay, makes sense. So I think just few general questions, just like more of a rapid fire.
Yeah.
The first question is, how do you know if the email that you have written is good or not?
Definitely the open rate is one metric that I see.
Okay.
Some emails do not have the best open rates, then I know that the title did not work. The amount of responses that comes from the email indicate how many people have read the email fully. So around 0.1% of your readers will actually respond on a comment or on a email reply. So if you have 10 replies, then you know that at least 10,000 people have read it fully. That is a way I kind of have a vague assumption of whether my email is working or not.
Okay. And after you send few nurture emails and few marketing emails, and there is no response, so do you rewrite all the emails, or how does that work?
You can try to position it differently and keep sending it. And the initial emails which did not have a response does not necessarily mean that it did not work. It might have still pushed it a little bit. Like for example, if I'm not able to open a jar and then I give it to you and you just touch it and it opens, then I would say that I have already loosened it up for you mostly, right? I did most of the work. So that way, if you send an email and it's not performing, and you send another email and it's performing very well, it does not mean that the next email actually worked. The next email might have added value on top of the previous email you have sent, and then it kind of went to the tipping point and it worked.
Makes sense. And for somebody who is just starting out, so what advice would you give to him or her on how to improve their writing skills?
Write 1,000 words every day.
Oh wow, that's simple and straightforward.
There is no other way. It is simple but very difficult. Write as soon as you wake up. That's the best time to write. If you don't feel like writing, then just write an article saying that I don't feel like writing anything today, and write why you are not feeling like writing anything. You can write something like, oh, it is so difficult to write. I have writer's block often. I don't know what to do, but I hope at least I wrote this much. Write even that. It's fine. But get out that million words out of your system.
Okay. And what are some of the books that you recommend for email writing or general writing?
Adweek Copywriting Handbook by Joseph Sugarman. Influence by Robert Cialdini. It's not more about writing. It's more about marketing and influence itself. But I have not read any book about writing books itself. There is a book called How to Read a Book, which I have not read yet, but I will read that book. But what the feedback that I have got from people who read that book is that the author should probably read a book called How to Write a Book.
It's slightly complicated.
Yeah, it's slightly complicated, but see, writing is communication. Like, you don't take a course on how to talk. You just learn how to talk as you grow, right? First you talk to your parents, you blabber, and then you talk to your siblings, then you talk to your pets, and then you grow up, then you talk to your friends. There is no course on how to talk. So similarly, writing is a form of communication. It's a form of talking in written words. Just practice.
Okay, makes sense. Final 2 questions. I'm sure many people would have asked multiple questions about email marketing, all this stuff, right? According to you, what is the one question that people should ask you about email marketing, but they generally don't?
I think they should first ask me how to build an email list before they ask me how to do email marketing, because people assume that you already have the list and you keep sending emails. You need to ask me how do you build an email list first. Once you have an audience, once you have an email list, then you have somebody to talk to. The only way to talk is to have somebody to talk to. You cannot talk into an empty void. So that would be the answer.
Makes sense. So final question. So can you just recommend my viewers on one action step that they can take in next 24 hours, which will help them to become better at email writing?
So set up a blog. You can set up a blog at Substack. Substack is great for blog and email newsletters. And it can be a personal blog. Eventually you can have a niche specific blog, which is like a business blog. So set up a personal blog, get your first 10-20 subscribers from your own network and start writing from tomorrow morning.
Super. So that's the one action step for you guys. Set up a blog and start writing.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Deepak.
Awesome.